briefing you guys earlier, we will make, so as I was mentioning earlier, the technique is use of something called as numerical methods in order to simplify the analysis of complex problems. So the techniques that will be made use of for the purpose of analysis is called as finite element method. So basically, finite element method is a technique to solve complex problems. So what we will be doing, basically, we will in this course we will be trying to understand the techniques that have been developed. Suppose if you make use of the same technique to solve or to analyze a particular problem, then the subject is called as finite element analysis. So in today's scenario, both the names are used interchangeably. So you might encounter the term analysis in some cases, and in some cases you might encounter the term finite element methods. So whatever you encounter, the subject, the essentially the technique would remain the same. ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಫೈನೈಟ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫೈನೈಟ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇಂಟರ್ಚೇಂಜಬಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. So let us now try to understand what is the basic idea in finite element analysis. So as you can see here, the idea is to find the solution of a complex problem. You underline this word complex problem by replacing it with a simpler one, right? So let me illustrate this concept with this diagram. So basically what you are seeing on your left, this blue colored image is basically a ladder, right? So this ladder consists of multiple elements. This ladder consists of multiple elements, which are essentially three-dimensional in nature, right? All the components of the ladder that you are seeing here are essentially three-dimensional in nature. And what you should observe is, apart from the visible components, there are certain invisible components as well, which form the key to holding the structure rigidly, right? So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ, main ಆಗಿ legs ಇದೆ, or this is also called as the frame. So there are two frames, right? So ಇಲ್ಲಿ horizontal ಆಗಿರೋದು, they are footsteps, right? So the frame is connected to the footsteps either by making use of a screw, or by making use of a glue, or by similar such mechanisms. So what will happen here, we are trying to analyze the strength of the footsteps. So let us consider it that way. So ಇದನ್ನೇ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, each footstep is basically a three-dimensional structure. ಸೊ ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ the figure that you are seeing here, which is in black and orange, is basically called as the finite element model of the problem. Suppose if this is the problem that you are supposed to solve, the right side model is called as the finite element model. So essentially what I have done here, I have replaced this three-dimensional structure by simple lines. So essentially the geometrical complexity of the actual problem has been reduced to a simpler one. ಹೌದಾ? This can be the case with the geometry, or it can be the case with the loads and so on. So essentially the problem, which appears to be a very complex one in nature, has been replaced by a simpler one. But remember, this simpler model is retaining the essential characteristic features of this model. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಫ್ರೇಮ್ಗಳಿದೆ, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ಫುಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಫುಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ ದಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟ್ is the same, but I am trying to simplify this. So this is the basic idea of finite element analysis. Essentially what I am trying to do, there is a complex problem for which it is highly difficult, or in some cases it is impossible to obtain the solution. So in such cases, what is that I am trying to do? I am trying to simplify the problem by making use of certain assumptions. So I'll assume a couple of things, and then I will simplify the actual complex construct. So thereby, if I try to obtain the solution of the simpler problem, the same solution can be extrapolated to determine the solution of this complex problem. That is essentially what we are trying to do in finite element analysis. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್? ಸೊ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ? ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು replace a complex problem by a simple problem in order to find its solution, right? And the next thing to note is that it is a computational technique, right? It is a computational technique. It means to say that whatever we are trying to solve, it will be solved by making use of computers. So essentially, it involves a lot of equations based on the complexity of the model. It makes use of a lot of equations wherein we will, it is highly impossible to solve it manually. So what is it we are trying to do? We are trying to build a software which will take care of all the computations, right? So this basically is a computational technique which is used to obtain approximate solutions. Again, this word approximate solution is important. So approximate ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. Let us discuss it in due course. So it is a computational technique used to obtain approximate solutions of boundary value problems in engineering. So let us now look at what do we mean by a boundary value problem, right? So to begin with, you consider this cantilever beam, right? This basically is a cantilever beam. This beam is subjected to a uniformly distributed load, which is indicated in this using this red color arrows, right? So this basically is a cantilever beam, which is subjected to a uniformly distributed load. Now you forget about the loads and you just look at the beam itself. So as you can see, the beam is blue in color, right? The beam is blue in color, and this black colored line, this black color rectangle is the periphery of the beam. This black colored line is indicating the surface of the beam. So if you can try to recall the concepts that you have studied in your basic thermodynamics, you might have encountered terms like control system and control volume, right? You try to look at this beam as a system. If you are trying to look at this beam as a system, the black colored line is the boundary of the system. The black colored line is the boundary of the system, right? So what is indicated in blue, we call it as our domain or our space. So this beam is the system. So what is indicated in blue is the domain or the space of the system. And this black colored rectangle, that is the surface of the beam, is nothing but the boundary of this beam. Now, if you look at this problem as a whole, now there is this rectangle, which is a beam. The left portion of the beam is fixed, right? The left portion of the beam is fixed. This condition is basically imposed on the boundary of the beam. This end is also the boundary of the beam. ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಏನ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಅದು? ದಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ದಿ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಬೀಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್, right? Suppose if I try to apply similar such conditions, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಎಂಡನ್ನ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಎಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಲರ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಈ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಫೋರ್ಸಸ್ ನ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, then such conditions are called as boundary conditions. ಯಾಕೆ? why do we call it as boundary conditions? They are called so because the conditions are imposed on the boundary of the problem. Suppose if this beam is our domain, beam the boundary mele I am applying certain restrictions. So such problems are called as boundary value problems. They are also called as field problems because this space is also known as field, right? So how can we define a boundary value problem? No, simply, in order to put it in simple words, a boundary value problem is a mathematical problem in which one or more dependent variables must satisfy a differential equation everywhere within a known domain of independent variables and satisfy specific conditions on the boundary of the domain. So basically, this basically is the boundary of the problem. So on the boundary of the problem, I am imposing certain conditions. So if a problem involves boundary conditions, then such a problem is called as boundary value problem. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ boundary value problem ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ? Is the concept clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now let us move on. Now you assume that you have been posed with a problem. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ. For solving any engineering problem or for solving any BVP, that is boundary value problem, you have three different techniques to solve it, right? The first one is by making use of an analytical method, right? So what is an analytical method? You know that any physical problem can be represented by making use of a system of equations. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, be it a heat transfer problem, be it a structural mechanics problem, be it a vibration analysis problem, ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ the problem can be solved using three different techniques, right? There are three different techniques available to solve the problem. So the key is that any problem can be represented by you making use of a system of equations. ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆದ್ರೂ we will be making use of a system of equations. That is important. Now, what is that we are trying to do in analytical method? In analytical method, we will be solving the problem in a closed form. Now, let us try to understand what do we mean by closed form. Basically, if you can try to recall the most commonly encountered equation in your vibration analysis, the governing differential equation, right? The governing equation was of the form m into, sorry, you just try to understand, it was of the form mx double dot plus c x dot plus k into x equals 0. ಹೌದಾ? This is the governing differential equation of a spring mass system. Now, what is this equation? This equation, in this equation, x double dot represents dx d squared x by dt squared. ಹೌದಾ? This is the acceleration. That is the second order derivative of displacement with respect to time, right? So this is d squared x by dt squared, whereas x dot is the velocity, which is dx by dt, right? So essentially this equation is a differential equation. So what will happen can be represented by making use of a series of differential equations. Now, suppose if I want to solve this equation, I can make use of analytical approach where you may be using techniques like say variable separable method or substitution method. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನಮ್ಮ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಏನು, x double dot ಮತ್ತೆ x value calculate ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. m is constant. m ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನು, it is the mass of the system, it is constant. c is the damping factor, again it is constant. K is the stiffness of the spring, again this is constant. Suppose if you are trying to calculate or if you are trying to find the value of x, we can easily calculate the values of x dot and x double dot. So basically ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, if you can recall, ನೀವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಡ್ಯಾಂಪ್ಡ್ ವೈಬ್ರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡ್ಯಾಂಪಿಂಗ್ ಈ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ಗೆ 3 ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಒಬ್ಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರೆ, ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿ. ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ಯು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಇಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಇಸ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. This is such equations are called as initial value problems or IVP in short. The same technique, more or less the same technique can be used to solve boundary value problems as well. So ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಓದಿದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ನ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. So what we will do, initial conditions na use ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, right? So what is the initial condition? Say at x is equal to 0, that is sorry, at t is equal to 0, ಅಂದ್ರೆ time 0 ಆಗಿದ್ದಾಗ the velocity is equal to 0 and the acceleration is equal to 0. So ಈ conditions ನ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿ you will be calculating the solution for this problem. So ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, you will be making use of a rigorous calculus techniques in order to solve such problems. So if you solve this problem in closed form, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ you will get 100% accurate results, right? If you are solving this problem in closed form, you will be getting the 100% accurate results. But you, by making use of such techniques, you can obtain this solution for only simple problems, like say probably a bar which is subjected to a axial load or a beam which is subjected to a transverse load and so on. ತುಂಬಾ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ this method will be applicable. But whenever you encounter a complicated problem, say let me show you a problem like this. This basically is a prosthetic of a athlete. ಒಬ್ಬ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಲಿಫ್ಟರ್ದು his hand was amputated. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಎಮ್ ಎ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್. ಸೊ ಅದರದ್ದು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ, ರೈಟ್? ದಿಸ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ವೈಟ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್, ದಿ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಬಿಹೇವ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನರ್. So what I am trying to do, if I am trying to solve this problem by making use of differential equations, it becomes very difficult for me to solve such equations using that closed form technique. So ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, what is that we will do then? We will then make use of numerical methods. So we'll then make use of numerical methods. So what is that you are trying to do? Essentially, you are quite familiar with this technique. ನೀವು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ PU ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ even in your M1 and M2, you would have solved differential equations by using closed approach. ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಸೆಪರೇಟಬಲ್ ಮೆಥಡ್, ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಆ ಥರ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಾ. ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ M3 and M4 you have heard about something called as numerical differentiation and numerical integration. ಯಾವುದು ಸಿಂಪ್ಸನ್ಸ್ ಒನ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ರೂಲು, ವೆಡಲ್ಸ್ ರೂಲು ಆ ಥರ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಫೈಂಡ್ ದಿ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಟ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್, ರೈಟ್? ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಫೈಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಟ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬೈ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಅಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾಗೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಆನ್ repeatedly substituting the values until desired accuracy is reached. So essentially this is what we do in numerical method as well. So ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, in numerical method we will replace the differential equation, by using a algebraic equation, right? We will try to manipulate the differential equation to obtain a algebraic equation, and then we will try to calculate the approximate solution for it, right? So whatever we are do using numerical method, the solution is approximate. You should always remember it. So why is the solution approximate? The solution is approximate because we are making use of a lot of assumptions in order to simplify the given problem, right? Since I am simplifying a given problem to a greater extent by making use of certain assumptions, so the solution would also be approximate, right? Lesser the assumptions, the approximity or the accuracy will be more. If the approximations are less, if the assumptions are less, the accuracy will be more. If you make use of more assumptions, then the accuracy will be less. Idan ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ನೀವು. Secondly, even when the prototype is not available, physically a problem ಅಥವಾ ಬಾಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೂ I can try to solve the problem by making use of this technique. Because of its simplicity, I can solve any type of real life complex problem. It can be, say, a artificial hand, a artificial leg, a artificial head, or it can be a very simple thing like a needle, or it can be an extremely complicated entity like say an aircraft. Whatever type of problem you throw at it, so by making use of this numerical method, I can try to calculate the approximate solution for these real life complex problems, right? So, and since I am making use of a lot of assumptions, so results cannot be blindly trusted, right? So what is that I must do? So I should take care that the results are appropriate. And by based on the results that I obtain from this technique, whether it is really correlating with the actual data. So this is the left to the judgment of the designer or the analyst, right? ಇವೆರಡು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಈ ಎರಡೂ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಥವಾ ಫಿಸಿಕಲಿ ಆ ಬಾಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೂ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ದಿ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ, ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೈ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಮೆಥಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ experimental method? So if you consider say a bar which is subjected to axial load, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಬಾರ್ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ಸಿಲಿಂಡ್ರಿಕಲ್ ರಾಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ if I want to determine the displacement of that rod, what is that I can do? Simply, what is the governing differential equation for a cylindrical rod subjected to tension? That is A into E into del square U by del x square. ಹೌದಾ? That is the equation. It is AE into del square U by del x square. So ಇದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ I can determine the value of U. ಹೌದಾ? U is nothing but the displacement. That is what I will do in analytical method. ಎರಡನೇದೇನೋ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮ್ಯಾನಿಪುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ. ಐ ನೋ ದಟ್ U is equal to PL/AE ಅಥವಾ ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು PL/AE ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಇಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ obtained an approximate value. So ಆ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾನ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ I will determine the value of delta. That is what basically I will do in numerical method. But whereas what is that I am trying to do in experimental method? In case of experimental method, I will take that cylindrical rod, right? I will take that cylindrical rod, I will put it onto the UTM, I will fix it into the jaws of the UTM, then I will apply the specified force. ಏನ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಆ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ this rod will deform. Then I will make use of either an extensometer or a strain gauge to measure the displacement of the body or the deformation of the body. So in experimental method, I cannot carry out this technique without having the physical model, right? I cannot carry out this technique without having the physical model. So thereby a physical model is very much required. So what is that I am trying to do? I am actually trying to measure the parameter of interest by conducting the experiment physically. This is what basically I am doing. So since this involves a lot of manufacturing and material handling aspects, it is excessively time consuming and it needs a very expensive setup. Suppose say you are already aware that say suppose if a car manufacturer wants to launch a new model in any country for that matter, so it should conform to certain standard specifications. ಹೌದಾ? ಇವಾಗ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಫೋಕ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಗನ್ ಅವರು ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ನ್ಯೂ ವರ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೋಲೋ, ಅದು ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಸೆಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟರಿ ನಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಕ್ರಾಶ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಸಪೋಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದಿ ಕಾರ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಬ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್. It might be a body or it might be a person or it might be a wall or anything of that sort. So ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲಾ ಏನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ದ ಫೋರ್ಸಸ್, ದೋಸ್ ಶಾಕ್ ವೇವ್ಸ್ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಟು ದಿ ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ಸ್. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕಾರ್ಗೂ ಇವಾಗ ಕ್ರಾಶ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಫೋಕ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಗನ್ ಅವರು, ದೆನ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಟು ದಿ RTO. ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಏಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸೊ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಫೇಲ್. So car costs lakhs of rupees. ಹೌದಾ? Say if they are trying to bring in a new version of Polo, probably approximately its price might be around 10 lakhs on road. So essentially the manufacturing cost would be something like 6 lakhs. ಹೌದಾ? 6 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Suppose if they take to the testing agency and they physically test it, suppose the car fails, what does it mean? It means that they have lost 6 lakhs, right? They have approximately lost 6 lakhs. So then what they will do, since it is not meeting the required standard, they will go back, they will re-engineer it, right? They will re-engineer it. First they will understand what went wrong. They will try to rectify those mistakes. Then they will modify the design. Then they will again manufacture it. Then they will come back for the testing agency to test it. Now in this case, what will happen? Basically, suppose say, if in the second go, if the conditions are met, then the car will be approved for sale. But again, if it fails, what they will do, they lakhs again, right? They have lost 6 lakhs again. Then what is that they are supposed to do? Again, they are supposed to go back and re-engineer it. So any engineering solution, the solution to any engineering problem will not be obtained in a single go. ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ತರ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. It is always a iterative process. You recall Shigley's model of design. So fourth step ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆದ್ರೂ we should go back and redesign the problem. So design is essentially a iterative step. It is basically an iterative process. So ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು iterations ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. So in such case, it is extremely expensive. It is stupidly expensive to test the problem physically. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್, it might not be a complex entity like a car. It may be any simple component. If you are trying to test it, test it experimentally in every iteration, so then it becomes a stupidly expensive process. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, we will make use of this experimental method only at the end. ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ we will make use of this experimental method. ಎಲ್ಲಿ we will make ಈ analytical method ಮತ್ತೆ numerical method they are virtual techniques. They are virtual techniques. So what is that we will do? We will virtually stimulate the problem. We will virtually simulate the problem. Virtually, since it is virtual, ನಮಗೆ manufacturing costs, material costs ಇರಲ್ಲ. So we are not losing out of any material. So because of this advantage, we are extensively investing in this technique called as finite element analysis, right? So what is that you need to know to put these things in a nutshell? So any problem can be solved by making use of these three techniques: analytical method, which involves solving differential equations; numerical methods, which involves solving algebraic equations; and lastly, experimental method, wherein I will be measuring the actual values by using a physical prototype. So since experimental method is highly expensive and time consuming, this will be done only at the end when adequately sufficient parameters have been achieved. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? We will extensively make use of numerical method. So is this concept clear? Can we move on further? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now, this is again a recap of what we have said previously. So in order to solve any problem, I will be having a governing equation. So this will be usually in the form of a differential equation. So then I will solve this equation by using either of these two techniques, virtual technically. So ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? Analytical procedure solve ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ there will be no approximation, right? So ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಷನ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಷನ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಷನ್, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಎ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಹೈ ಅಕ್ಯುರಸಿ. ಸೊ ನ್ಯೂಮರಿಕಲ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? ಆ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬರ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಷನ್ಸ್. ಆ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್, ಆಸ್ ಅ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಿಲ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಟ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ಸ್, right? We will only be obtaining approximate results. So even though the results are approximate, why we are preferring this technique annadana, you will understand it in due course, right? So eventually when you solve problems and when you try to relate it to the actual data, andre results na validate ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ you will understand why this method is preferred in due course. Okay, now as I was saying, since the results are approximate, there will always be some degree of error associated with it, right? There will always be some degree of error associated with it. Now let us try to understand what we mean by error. Now you assume a situation wherein you do not know the formula. Yana Swarup, why did you raise a hand?
ಸರ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇವಾಗ?
ಇವಾಗ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
Fine. Okay. So ಇವಾಗ you assume that you are in a situation wherein you do not know the formula to calculate the area of the circle, right? So you previously, when the ratio of pi was not developed, pi na ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ we did not have the formula to calculate the area of the circle, right? So in such cases, suppose if you want to determine the area of the circle, how can we solve this? The simplest way is to inscribe a triangle. ಹೌದಾ? ಆ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಯು ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ನೋ ದಿ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ದಿ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್. ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಹಾಫ್ ಇಂಟು ಬೇಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಹೈಟ್. ಇದನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಬಟ್ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ದು ಏರಿಯಾ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಎ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸರ್ಕಲ್, ರೈಟ್? ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ consider the area of the circle to be equal to the area of this triangle, right? So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಅನ್ನೇ ನೀವು ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ದಿಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್, ಹೌದಾ? ಸರ್ಕಲ್ಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ದು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. Since you already know the formula, this procedure is simple. You will inscribe a triangle and you will tell that the area of this triangle is equal to the area of the circle, correct? So but what is highlighted in white is actually the area of the triangle. ಈ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಏನು ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಏನ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಇದೆ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಗ್ರೇ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅವರ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್. ಈ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವೈಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಈ ಗ್ರೇ ಕಲರ್ಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ ಗ್ರೇ ಕಲರ್ಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾಗಳು ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬೀನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಲೂಡೆಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅವರ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್. ಸೊ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಲೂಡೆಡ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ದಿ ಎರರ್. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ what is highlighted in gray is the error that I am getting by solving this problem in the manner that I am specifying. So next time ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, in order to reduce this error ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. So probably say if 100 is the area of the circle, probably you are telling that by the area of the triangle may be somewhere around 60. So 40% is the error. Error is very huge. In this case, it is highly unacceptable. So what is that I will do? ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ನ ಹಾಕೋದ್ರ ಬದಲು I will have two triangles. So two triangles which is essentially forming a square. So what I will try to do, I will try to say that the area of the square is the area of the circle. So in this case you can see that error has been reduced considerably. ಹೌದಾ? ಎರರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಲಿ ಸೇ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 40% ಇರೋದ್ರ ಬದಲು ದಿ ಎರರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಸಮ್ವೇರ್ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 30%. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ವೈಟ್ ಅಕ್ಯುರೇಟ್. ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ವೈಟ್ ಅಕ್ಯುರೇಟ್. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್, ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ಫರ್ದರ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ದಿಸ್ accuracy, what I will do, I will make use of a hexagon. So as you can see, in this hexagon, in this inscribed hexagon, the area that is left out, that is the error, is very minimal. So then if you further, instead of making use of a hexagon, if you make use of an octagon, so if you are making use of an octagon, the error is further reduced. So Andre, what is the moral of this story? As and when you increase the number of triangles or the number of lines, as and when you go on increasing the number of lines, the error is being reduced ಅಥವಾ accuracy is being improved. ಹೌದಾ? So what I will do, in order to calculate the area of the circle accurately, instead of making use of 8 lines, I can make use of infinite number of lines. So as the number of lines tends to infinity, the error tends to 0. ಹೌದಾ? Can I say it this way? ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಾ? Can someone respond?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So as the number of lines tends to infinity, the error tends to 0. Now, each line or each triangle in this model is called as an element, right? Each triangle in this model or each line here is called as an element. Now, what is that you need to observe? Each element is having a finite size and finite shape. It is having a known shape and it is having a known size. So such elements are called as finite elements. Okay, you remember this concept. So each element that I am considering is having a finite size and finite shape. So such elements are called as finite elements. Now let us try to look at how the error is getting reduced by increasing the number of elements, right? So previous model alli enaaytu, by increasing the number of elements error na kadame ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. Now let us look at it in the graphical format. Now if I am making use of 3 elements, so x axis ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ number of lines or number of elements, y axis ಅಲ್ಲಿ actual area ಇದೆ. So suppose say exact answer 100 ಇದೆ. So the area of the circle is actually 100, right? 100 mm square. Now ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, this is the area that I am obtaining by making use of that specified number of elements. Now what is error? Error is exact answer minus this area. ಹೌದಾ? Now if I am making use of 3 lines or 3 elements, the area that I am obtaining is 41. So what is the error here? The error is 100 minus 41, which is 59. So 59 is a unacceptable number. So 59 41 mm square na 100 mm square area ಇರೋ ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ನ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ this answer is not acceptable. So ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, I will again increase the number of elements to 4. Now if I am making use of 4 elements, the answer is 64. What is the error? The error is 36. So this error, even though it is slightly less, but still it is not accurate. then what I will do, idukku further nanu I will increase the number of elements again. Now if I consider 6 elements, il nodi, if I consider 6 elements, the answer that I am getting is 83. The answer that I am getting is 83. So what is the error here? The error is just 17. The error here is just 17. Again, if I increase the number of elements to 8, the answer is 90 or the error is just 10. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ನೀವೇನ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕರ್ವ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಸ್ಲೋಪ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಲೋಪ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 45 ಡಿಗ್ರೀಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿವೇರ್. ಹೌದಾ? ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, 90% ಗಿಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಅಕ್ಯುರಸಿ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸಪೋಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ ಅಕ್ಯುರಸಿ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದನ್ 90%, then what I will do, I will increase the number of elements from 8 to 16. Enterinda I am doubling the number of elements to 16. Now what is happening? The answer that I are getting is 96. The answer that I are getting is 96. So error is just 4%. But previous go idukku compare ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, just 6% accuracy increase ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ, just 6% accuracy increase ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ you are actually doubling the number of elements, right? So basically if you consider each element to consist of a single equation, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ದನು ಏರಿಯಾ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಕೂಡ, by 8 elements ಅಲ್ಲಿ already you are having 8 equations. So 8 equations na solve ಮಾಡಿ 90% accurate answer ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದ್ರ ಬದಲು, just to get 6% additional accuracy, you are doubling the number of equations from 8 to 16. Okay, so again if you can look further, if you double the number of elements from 16 to 32, the accuracy that you are achieving is 99 minus 96, which is just 3%, right? By increasing the number of equations by 16, you are just obtaining a marginal accuracy of 3%. Now what is that I am trying to convey? If you are making use of a very less number of elements, then the accuracy is very poor. Error is high, the accuracy is poor. But if you are making use of a very large number of elements, the accuracy that you are going to get is not significantly improved, as you see from this area. So ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, based on the type of problem that you are solving, you will be knowing what should be the error. Example simple ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Suppose you consider 2 cases where you are making use of gears ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು you are developing some component ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. You consider the first case to be a watch. ಹೌದಾ? ಒಂದು ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ವಾಚ್ ನ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. ಎರಡನೇ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇ ಯು ಆರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಗೇರ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಬೈಕ್. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಎರಡು ಕೇಸು, ಇನ್ ದಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್, ಯು ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಎ ವಾಚ್. ಇನ್ ದಿ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಎ ಗೇರ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ ಆಟೋಮೊಬೈಲ್. So now what is that we are supposed to do? Suppose if you consider the case of a watch ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು, the velocity ratio should be extremely accurate. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಿನಿಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನು if they are not synchronized perfectly, you will not be able to note the time properly. So extremely it needs to be manufactured with extreme precision. ಹೌದಾ? ಎರಡನೇ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಗೇರ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ರೇಷಿಯೋ, what is the velocity ratio in the case of a clock? So second hand hour hand, if it is 1:60:3600 is basically the gear ratio. ಮೂರು hour hand, minute hand ಮತ್ತೆ second hand. So if this goes by 60 ಆಗೋದ್ರ ಬದಲು 61 ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಫರ್ದರ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈವೆನ್ಚುಯಲಿ ಒಂದು ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ 24 times. So your answer will be not appropriate. So ಈ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ನನಗೆ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ ಪ್ರಿಸಿಷನ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್. ಅದೇ ತರ ಗೇರ್ಸ್, ಸೇಮ್ ಗೇರ್ಸ್ ನ ನೀವು ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಗೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಗೇರ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್, 1 or 2 meter per second velocity ratio ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆದ್ರೆ then it does not make a significant impact. ಸೊ ಆ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಪ್ರಿಸಿಷನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಪ್ರಿಸಿಷನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನರ್ಥ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ with a great deal of precision, it means that the manufacturing cost associated with it will be very high. But if you are manufacturing something in a not so precise manner, the manufacturing costs can be somewhat brought down. So this is what you need to remember. Based on the application, you will decide whether accuracy is important or the ease of solving that problem is important. ಇದರ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ you will be considering what should be the number of elements. So ಇದರದ್ದು what is the takeaway? By increasing the number of elements, you will improve the accuracy. Number of elements na increase ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ ಹಾಗೆ the accuracy will be improved. So number of elements na increase ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ ಹಾಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಪೀಟೆಡ್ಲಿ ನೀವು 8 ಸಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಕೆಲಸನ 16 ಸಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ 32 ಸಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಆನ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದಿ computational effort that you are supposed to put will go on increasing by increasing the number of elements. So increasing the number of elements has got two effects. One is increasing the number of elements will improve accuracy. The second thing is increasing the number of elements will increase the computational effort. So based on what should be the accuracy, based on the application of problem, you will be deciding the number of elements to use. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಇದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್? Is this concept clear? Can someone respond?
ಸೊ ಕಾಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನಲ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತಾ ಅಥವಾ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ?
ಫೈನೈಟ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರಿಪೀಟಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನರ್ಥ, ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ನ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ 1 ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಅಂತೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ನ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ನ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ 16 ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ 16 ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ದಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು 32, ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, 32 ಆಯ್ತು, ಡಬಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ನೀನು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ಟೈಮ್ 16 ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ 16 ನಿಮಿಷ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ 32 ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು? 32 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ದಿ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಪುಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್. ಹೌದಾ, ಅಕ್ಯುರಸಿನೂ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ದಿ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಪುಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಅಷ್ಟು ಅಕ್ಯುರೇಟ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾ? 96% ಅಕ್ಯುರಸಿ ಸಾಕಾದ್ರೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಫರ್ದರ್ ಅದನ್ನ 99% ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ 96 ಸಾಕು ಅಂತ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಬಹುದು. ಅಗೇನ್ ಫರ್ದರ್ ಈ ರೀಸನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ 16 to 32 ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅಟ್ 45 degrees ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಸ್. ಈ ಲೈನ್ ಕರ್ವ್ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಲಲ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಸ್. ಹೌದಾ, 96 to 99. ಇವಾಗ 32 ನ 64 ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ 1% ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಅಕ್ಯುರಸಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1% ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರಾಬಬಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಸೇ 0.1%, 0.2% ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ 41 ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ 64 ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗಿದೆ? 23% ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, just by increasing one element. But here you by increasing 16 elements, ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ 16 elements, but the accuracy ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗಿದೆ? just 3%. So based on the application you will be choosing the number of elements ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಅದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್? ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ?